folks, and welcome to After Cafe, where the take shape, thoughts find depth, and every conversation explores the art of thinking beyond the obvious. And today I have my special guest. From chaos to clarity, imagination recovery, mental fitness, and the power of using hard things. One of his advocacy, no other than Mr. Colin C. Thompson.
So, Mr. Daniel Lucas, I know you know this, but your mind can be your best friend or your worst
Mhm.
enemy. And I want to send a message to your audience on how they can make sure their mind is entirely their best friend.
Yes, definitely. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Mr. Colin, thank you, thank you, thank you. And today let's talk about motivation and inspiration. What is all about?
So, I believe motivation, inspiration, you can call it the fuel for your future. Because motivation, inspiration, it is what drives us forward. Now, the funny thing or the interesting thing about motivation and inspiration is that it needs to come from a very positive place. But for a lot of us, our motivation, inspiration doesn't come from a positive place. So I think today we're going to touch on what I mean by motivation, inspiration coming from a positive place. But motivation, inspiration, this is our the fuel. This is our why. Why we want to achieve something. Why we want to reach a goal.
Let's start with the crucial distinction, Mr. Cullen. In your work, how do you define the fundamental differences between motivation and inspiration, and why is understanding this difference is so critical for sustainable action?
Well, what makes both of these critical for sustainable action is the why behind it. Now, the distinction between motivation and inspiration in my work, it's not so big, but typically inspiration is when you're getting that fuel, you're getting that push, that excitement from an external source, meaning somebody else inspiring you. You may hear somebody speak, you may watch somebody doing something, and that inspires you. Sometimes motivation is internal. Yes, you can be motivated by other people, but typically when we talk about motivating ourselves, we don't talk about inspiring ourselves too much. Maybe we should, but the distinction between motivation and inspiration, from my experience, is inspiration is more when we're observing or external, while motivation is at times internal.
And Mr. Cullen, neuroscience tells us that motivation is deeply tied to the brain's dopamine system. How can we hack this system to build reliable momentum on tasks that are important but not immediately thrilling?
Right. So you talk about the dopamine fix, and we have the dopamine fix when we do something that we like very quickly. It's very similar to when we're checking our messages on our phone. We hear that notification bing, and we get that feeling of excitement. Now, when we talk about how to maintain motivation, maintain momentum, it goes back to what I was saying. Excuse me, about motivation coming from a positive place. And what I mean by that is you may have heard of the term, well, not a term, but sometimes motivation comes from fear, or sometimes motivation comes from deadlines. So I work better when I have a deadline. I work better under pressure. That is a motivating factor, but it's not a positive factor. And what I mean by that is if you're motivated out of negative emotions, yes, you may get things done. But the question is, do you have to feel those negative emotions to maintain your motivation? So as opposed to fear of losing a job making you work harder, as opposed to you have a deadline that's end of day tomorrow, so you're being very you're getting things done very quickly now. Those things will again lead to completion, but your mindset as you're going, you have worry, fear, anxiety, as opposed to And those things are not sustainable, as opposed to having motivation from a positive place. You want to accomplish something that puts you and your family with a better lifestyle. You want to accomplish something to grow your skill set. You want to have more empathy for people. So when you're motivated from a positive place, you're not spending any time with a negative mindset. And that's really how you maintain motivation. If the motivation is coming from a very positive place.
A very positive place. I like that. Mr. Colin, what is the most common misconception people have about how motivation works that actually set them up for a failure and disappointment?
I like to say that motivation pushes. If your motivation is coming from a non-positive or pressure, anxiety, fear, that fear sort of pushes you forward. But imagine being pulled, right? So I like to say that motivation that pulls us is when we're using our imagination to think about our future, and the future excites us. When we think about, there's a thing called um, inspiration by desperation, where you must do certain things. That's you're inspired, but you're inspired again by a negative place, as opposed to inspiration by celebration, meaning you're inspired, you're motivated to accomplish things because you're going to celebrate the achievement, as opposed to, and that pulls you forward. The celebration pulls you forward. You can't wait to do that, as opposed to being pushed forward, again, being motivated from that negative space. And that push forward is a lot more pressure than being pulled toward the future. Did that answer your question?
Yes, definitely, Mr. Cullen. So, how does our self identity, the story we tell ourselves about who we are, dictate what we feel motivated to do? For instance, how does shifting from I'm trying to be healthy person to I am healthy person change the game?
Yeah. And you mentioned it, mindset and how you view yourself. I want to be a healthy person versus I am being a healthy person. And part of that is really first having self love, or really self empathy. And with self empathy, we have unconditional love for ourselves. So we're not trying to say, if I start eating healthy, I'll love myself. If I start eating healthy, I'll be a better person. No, 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 no. I love myself now. I'm a great person now, and I'm starting to eat healthy. So the mindset and how you view yourself goes a long way into you being able to achieve your goals. Because again, if you are if you are trying to, let's use your example. If your mindset is, I want to get healthy because I see everybody out there who's skinny and sexy, and I want to do that too, as opposed to, I want to I want to get healthy because I want to feel like I accomplished something. I want to get healthy because I want to live longer. Those things will definitely help you maintain motivation and learn how to accept yourself as you are. That's very, very important, because if you're not accepting yourself as you are, you're always chasing after a version of you that you might not make. You might not make. And if you don't make it, does that mean you don't love yourself? No, you want to accept yourself and love yourself the way you are now, and that comes from having a self love and a self empathy.
The practical tools and from the start to action, Mr. Cullen, what someone or when someone is feeling completely demotivated and stuck, what is the smallest, most scientifically backed first step they can take to break this paralysis?
Yeah, and that's a great question, and I would not recommend a scientifically backed tool because sometimes scientifically backed tools just don't work. One of the best things to do if you're feeling down, feeling a little sad, is to get up in the morning, take your mobile phone, put it on the kitchen table, go outside by yourself, and go walk in a quiet place for about 30 to 45 minutes. And the reason I say leave everything at home, don't take your dog, leave your dog at home. The reason I say do this is because it sort of puts you in a position where you're forced to think about what's going on in your head. You're not letting yourself being distracted from what you're going through. And when you're in a negative mindset or you're down or depressed, not depressed, but down, sometimes don't fight the feeling. Feel it, feel it, feel it, feel it. Let your mind go through it and then recover faster. A lot of times when we're in a negative mindset, we'll go to a YouTube, we'll go to social media to distract ourselves, and we'll find ourselves in that negative mind space longer. So, one of the best and easy things to do is go outside and be alone with your mind and just think through what you're experiencing. You might not resolve anything, but I promise you, you'll get through and start recovering a lot faster.
A lot faster for sure. The why is often cited as the key motivation. Mr. Colin, what do you do when someone why feels so too abstract or distant to be effective in the moment? How do we make it tangible?
Yep. So, as a coach, I try not to focus on whether or not I think their why is too abstract because what I view as abstract, they may view it differently. So I try to really help them understand their why. So when somebody gives me their why, for example, if somebody says my motivation is to lose weight, and that's very abstract because we don't know how much weight, we don't know kind of weight. So their motivation is to lose weight. Um, that's where they may stop. But but where I go with my clients, I'll say, okay, why do you want to lose more weight? Well, they want to lose more weight because they want to look better to their wife, to the spouse, excuse me. Say, let's do it again. Why? Well, I want to look better in my clothes. Why? Again, I want to improve our relationship. So what I try to do is strip down the initial why and help the client get to the real reason, the real goal. We call it the real goal. I call it the five why process, which is also used in issue resolution or problem solving. But we try to identify what is the real goal or the real why, because quite frankly, the client may not know what that is.
Let's talk about the environment, Mr. Colin. What are the most impactful yet often overlooked changes we can make to our physical or digital spaces to make motivated action the path of least resistance?
Hmm. Well, I think the first thing is having an environment of calm, having an environment we can concentrate. And what I mean by that is look at your work desk or your workspace. What does it reflect upon you? Is it tidy? Is it calm? Or is it loud? If your workspace, your desk space is loud, quite frankly, your thoughts are probably loud and you may not be getting a lot done day to day. So the first thing is making sure that you have good balance in your workspace. And when I say good balance is you have clutter off your desk. When you look at your desk, it brings you a sense of order and calmness. And when it comes to digital, technology can be our worst enemy. Technology can be the best assistant in the world. It's really about how you use technologies. So one of the things that I practice is mindful. What's the term? Mindful. When you put things off, you keep putting things off. Um, uh, I forgot the term because I tried to practice it, but I try not to do certain things on purpose. And the things I try not to do is I try not to look at my email or social media in the mornings. I try to keep myself fresh and do that at lunchtime. I try to have good balance in how we use these tools because these same tools that can help us work better, if we overuse them, they become a major distraction. And quite frankly, we then somewhat become addicted to using them. So I would say, as far as the balance between technology, try to put your direct use of technology to a couple of times per day. Emails, checking emails, if you can, check them at lunchtime and 5 p.m., and that's it.
Sustaining the flame beyond the initial spark, Mr. Cullen. inspiration can feel fleeting. What are the most effective practices for capturing a moment of inspiration and systematically turning it into a concrete plan and outlast the initial emotional high?
The first thing to do is to write it down. Write down what that inspiration is. Write it down. And again, the inspiration is your gas. Inspiration is your why. The inspiration is your motivation. And then say to yourself, what is this inspiring me to do? Now, I'm going to give you very quickly the eyes, right? The first eye is inspiration. This is the why. After you have your inspiration, you want to improve the lifestyle of you and your family. You want to be a better version of yourself. Once you have that inspiration, it's time to use a muscle that we have lost, and that is the muscle called imagination. If you imagine your future, what did that inspiration look like for you? If you want to have a better lifestyle for you and your family, what does that look like? Using imagination, what does it look like? Write that down, because now the imagination is the what. Inspiration is the why, imagination is the what. And then after you have these two eyes, the third eye is ideas. Brainstorm. What ideas can you come up with very quickly to accomplish your imagination, to get to the what? This idea is called the how. And Daniel, it's very important that when people start to work on the ideas, brainstorming, do not evaluate while you're brainstorming. When you're brainstorming, all you're doing is thinking of idea, 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 idea. It can be a crazy idea. It can be an idea that will not work, but those ideas can spark something else that may be possible, right? So you have the what, inspiration, the what. So inspiration, the why. Imagination is now the what. Ideas is the how. And then this is the piece that keeps you going forward, that keeps you inspired. This is the impact. If you're able to have ideas that work, that lead you to achieving your imagination, the what impact will that have on you and your family? And Daniel, that impact is what's going to pull you forward each time, achieving that impact. That is I call those are the invisible ropes that always keep you guiding forward. Always keep you guiding forward. So that's the four eyes. Um, yeah, the four eyes very quickly. Imagination. I mean, inspiration, imagination, ideas, and impact.
Mr. Colin, how do we build our personal inspirational portfolio? A curated collection of books, quotes, people, and experiments or experiences that we can tap into when we need a boost.
So, so this is a question that is very difficult to answer because everybody has their different internal motivators. But the one thing across all individuals that you must have if you want to have your own internal inspiration is you have to have strong mental fitness. And mental fitness is our ability to go through this wonderful, 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 crazy, hopefully long thing called life while maintaining a positive mindset. Because it is almost impossible to maintain positive motivation, inspiration, momentum when you're having a negative mindset. And as you know, on a daily basis, we are we come in contact with several different instances that can trigger us. And once we're triggered in a negative way, it's very difficult for us to make calm and rational decisions. We typically are triggered in a negative way and make rash and incorrect decisions, which absolutely impact our ability to stay inspired. So the first part is really working on improving your mental fitness.
Mr. Colin, as a coach, what are your short term and long term goals?
As a coach, my my short term goal is improving my ability to reach more people. And what I mean by that is I love face to face contact. I love talking to you. I like sitting with you. And even now with online, I like seeing on video. I want though to be able to reach people beyond same time. This could be through recording. This could be through podcasts. This could be in a number of very ways. So short term, I'm trying to find more ways to touch more people. Long term, I want to be able to say this is kind of selfish, but I want to be able to say I impacted the lives of thousands of people. I impacted the lives in a positive way of thousands of people. And I think if I'm able to really get my short term goal going better, that will definitely lead to me reaching my long term goals.
Good luck to your goals, Mr. Colin, and looking forward for more success. And what will be your piece of advice for those people out there want to be like you?
Well, I would say don't. Well, I don't want to say don't be like me, but Mr. Daniel, I have a phrase that I've been using for the past few months, and it is 100% accurate. Well, 99.9% accurate. I no longer get angry. I no longer get angry. And the
Hmm.
reason I say it's 99% accurate is because I have two children, a little boy named Quincy who's 6 years old, and my daughter Kaylee who's 4 years old. And these are the only two people on the planet that can get me upset or mad for a moment. For a moment. But but when they do that, I think of a hot stove. So Daniel, if you put your hand down on a hot stove, what do you do?
Well, I feel for sure I will cry for the pain.
Right. Yeah, well, I hope you also take your hand off the stove, right?
Yes, definitely.
So I look at my kids as my hot stove, meaning when I get triggered from them, hot stove, take my hand off the stove and no longer be triggered. Meaning don't stay mad, right? I was mad so I'm very good at getting mad for one moment and it being gone. Now, for the 99.9% other experiences of people in the world, I no longer get angry. That's because Daniel, I spent the last 4 to 5 years building up my mental fitness. So on a daily basis, I do exercises that help me being able to control my mindset and maintaining, and I wouldn't say I maintain a positive mindset, but I don't go negative. And the times I do go negative, I go there for a very short time period. So my advice to your community would be to look to improve your mental fitness. And of course, I'm going to say you can reach out to me directly from my website to learn more about how I can help you improve your mental fitness. And if you improve your mental fitness, you'll improve relationships, you'll have peace of mind, and you'll have peak performance.
Well, thank you for that advice, Mr. Colin. Many people are motivated by fear of failure, of judgment, of missing out, or called FOMO. How can we recognize when our fear is the drive, and how can we transition to more positive and sustainable source of fuel?
So, a very easy way to recognize what is motivating you. When you think about your motivation, do you feel anxiety? Do you feel depression? Do you feel pressure? Are you feeling negative emotions? As opposed to when your motivation is coming from a positive place and you're looking forward to achieving it. That's a very, very simple way. But again, I'm going to go back to the ability to lean on and improve your mental fitness. Mental fitness, just like your physical fitness, can be built up over time, but you do need to start. And the best way to start is saying to yourself, let me think about something that triggered me or got me upset last year, and try not to let that get you upset this year. If you're getting upset by the same things year after year after year, it's not the thing, it's you. And again, don't yeah, don't start with your spouse, don't start with your colleagues, don't start with something very, very serious. Start with something, a pet peeve, something that bothers you, but only for a few minutes. Start with that. If you can no longer let that little small thing get you upset, you're working on your mental fitness. So start small, and change often.
As a leader or influencer, what is the most effective way to inspire a team or community without restoring to empty pep talks or external carrots and sticks?
Yeah. So I think the question is, how do you send a message to a team or a group that goes beyond just hype, that goes
Yes.
beyond inspiring them for a few moments? That's very difficult because, and I've been trying to answer this question for years, Daniel, or achieve it myself because I'm very good at giving a very motivating speech. And Jill will say, rah, rah, you run through the wall. And I found years ago, my friends would call me and say, Colin, hey, can you motivate me? Now I would talk to
Mm-hmm.
them and they'd be motivated. But the same friends would call 2 weeks later and say, hey, I need to be motivated again. And I learned that they were not able to maintain. So one of the things I try to do when I do speak, and it goes back to my short-term goal, I try to give the people the opportunity to connect with me one-on-one because I believe that motivation is just the start. Motivation is the start, but motivation does as you mentioned does wane after a while. But how can you help them to understand what is their true why? And if you can find that real growth mindset why, that will continue to pull you forward. So I try to personally connect with as many people I can and help them understand what their true or golden why is.
A golden why. And how can we create environments in our workplaces, families, or communities that are inherently motivation rich and inspire people to show up their best selves?
So initially, what I would recommend, and I've tried this myself, before you want to motivate your community or whatnot, you really want to build yourself up first. And Daniel, I apologize for saying this word too much, but I believe in it. You need to first build up your mental fitness and be the example. You want people who work with you to know you say, hey, you've changed. What happened? And then you share your story about how you built your mental fitness, where you went from having a primarily negative mindset to having a strong positive mindset. It's best that they first experience you making that change before you try to have that impact to the community.
Mr. Colin, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my Abstract Essay is already in fifth season. Abstract Poetry in second season, my book 101 review in fifth season too, Comedy 101 in third season, and Food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101, Love Letters to Movie 101, Review of Music 101 are in fourth season, Science 101, Sex 101 in second season of my baby podcast, Law 101, Mental Health 101, and Bible Versus 101. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So finally, Mr. Colin, looking at your own life, what is a source of motivation or inspiration that you return to again and again and again?
Yeah, Daniel, if you allow, before I answer that question, as I look at your podcast list, I am I am super excited about what you're doing, and I hope to be on a few of these other podcasts that you have because you're touching on some very important topics.
Yes,
Um,
go ahead.
yeah, going to the question, what motivates? I laugh because what motivates me are the same things that .01 and get me upset. That's
Hmm.
my children and my wife. And I'll tell you why I say that. It's because I got married when I was a little older in life. I had my kids a little older. I am 52 years old, and my oldest child is 6 years old. I want to be around to see my kids get married and have babies. So I need to
Hmm.
be here for at least perhaps another 30 years. So my motivation to
Hmm.
really be alive is what
Hmm.
motivates me to live a life with strong mental fitness because I realize that living a life where you're frustrated, upset, in a negative headspace, it makes it very, very difficult to make the right decision on what you eat, what you consume, how you communicate with people. So for me to make sure that I'm around, I need to make sure that I'm talking to my kids from a voice of love, not a voice of anger. I'm communicating to my wife from a place of love and not anger. And to me, it comes from building up my mental fitness to ensure that I can be with my family for as long as possible.
Yes, and Mr. Colin, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your business, your advocacy, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Thank you, Daniel. And I'm going to say, well, I don't want them primarily to support my business. I want them to reach out if they want to make improvements in their life. Okay, if you
Mm-hmm.
want to make improvements in your life, reach out to me, www.oligye.com. Let's have a conversation to see whether or not coaching is something that will help you go from where you are now to where you want to be in the future.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Bright and Mr. Colin C. Thompson because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering advocacy to come, more and more empowering coaching to come. So, Mr. Colin, thank you so much for your time.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
More to come, people. See you soon.